So, President Trump is signing executive orders, and he has said there is male and female, and he has said there is no boys in girls' sports. How are we addressing this? Because California isn't doing that.
Correct. California still has the law that states that students can play in either sport. There are discussions up in Sacramento. I'm not sure where they're going to go, but there has been some sessions discussing to redefine that because it all ties to the federal money that will not come to California if they don't change those rules. So
Well, I do know that some of those have already been voted down by the committee.
Oh, yeah, the committees are voting everything down. But
Right.
they're trying some way, and I believe the governor's trying to figure out a way to do this as well, because everyone
he
knows
opened
that
his
there's
mouth.
a lot of states, or there's a lot of funding that will not come to the state if they cannot do something. But as of right now, the law still is in existence.
So we're just going to stay at a standstill for right now on things?
Yeah, all school districts.
All
are-
school districts
Yeah, they're
are.
all at a standstill at this point in time.
Okay.
So in light of what Trustee Eskew said earlier, I think you were referring to AB 89 with the issue with,
84, 89.
there's a
yeah.
bunch of them out right now, but,
Yeah.
so Temecula Valley Unified School District wrote a resolution supporting AB 89. And so my question for Dr. Mendeborough is there a way around this? Or is there a way do we have power to bypass the state as a county so that we can make sure we're complying with federal?
No, unfortunately, we have to comply with state laws in order to receive the federal funding. Because it goes to the, federal funding goes to the state then allocates it to the districts.
I
Now,
understand that.
you can write a resolution to support any of those bills. That's not a problem. But what we couldn't do is say, in Kern County, boys will play on boys, girls will play on girls. And
Okay.
circumvent that.
Well, you could.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you could, but.
Yeah, you
could,
could, but
but
you're going to get
it-
repercussions.
Yeah.
I see, okay.
But you can support bills that are up in Sacramento, such as those, and do resolutions. We did it before. Districts, when I was in a district, we did it. We'd write a resolution and
Well-
submit it to the state.
And that's Assembly Bill 84?
89, actually.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
89.
89?
89.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, if we ever did do something like that, they always say they would threaten us with the funding, but so far nobody's ever not gotten their funding.
Yeah, personally.
So that has to be an agenda item to discuss and write and
resolution?
approve? Yes.
Yeah, we can bring it back at next month to have a resolution approved. That's not a problem.
Okay. I'd like to request that we put that on the agenda.
Thank you. We'll put that on the agenda.
And as far as the other executive orders coming from President Trump about the CRT and the DEI in curriculum, and I've been scrubbing through this Edmonton, which I've really enjoyed. I don't see it in there, so I just want to make sure that maybe someone can talk about what is in the curriculum that could fall into the category of CRT or DEI, because the way it's set up, you have to actually go through the program as a student. So I can't look at it as a teacher and go, what are the,
Yeah, right now, none of the CRT, what would be labeled CRT or DEI is in any of the curriculum that we provide to our students. Any
Is
future
not.
any future curriculum could potentially have it, but again, that's going to be up in limbo because we're not sure what's going to happen from the
Right.
state in response to the executive orders. But all our current curriculum does not have that.
okay.
I think it's going to start, depending on what happens, because we're in limbo, but I think the CRT and DI, I think the CRT is going to start at being a high school requirement
Yeah.
in 25, 26. But it all depends on what comes down the pipeline.
Now it's time for the stick. The Big Ten. The Big Ten, okay? 10 Commandments, all right? Little birdie told me that Mr. Jason Rampart from the National Association of Christian Lawmakers is in favor of the 10 Commandments and would come out and say so. And also, my understanding, Ms. Little, is that didn't Pastor Frazier let you know that Brad Dacus has actually come out in favor of moving the Ten Commandments forward?
He has, but that's not anything that they are going, that I know that they're presenting to the board at this time, so.
Well, what would, but Pastor Frazier is in Washington right now. I talked to him today and gave him a call. But when are we going to take a vote on the Ten Commandments?
That, we can't just arbitrarily take a vote.
Well, I know.
It has to be on the agenda.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying right now, but, no.
He's asking to put it
Come on,
on
it's
the
10 o'clock
agenda.
at night, Reverend Dad. I want to put it on the agenda for next month.
Well, I would think that Pastor Angelo would be the one that's going to bring it back to us if he's ready to present some evidence to us, if that's what you're saying.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I do want to see that move forward. I really and truly do.
All right, can I ask a question? Are you asking for like board discussion and a vote on it?
Well, ultimately,
Or are you asking for more information from Dr. Frazier?
myself personally, I think the board should vote on this next meeting. Ms. Little, for I'm sure very, very valid reasons, is suggesting wait until we hear from Angela Frazier. But I don't want to let this thing sit much longer. I really and truly don't. I think we need to go ahead and address it one way or the other.
I understand your concern, but I don't want to put it on the agenda prematurely. If Dr. Frazier, or Dr. Angelo has, he is a Dr. Angelo.
Yeah.
If he has
Reverend
pertinent information for us to glean and that he has some information, then I think that would be a more appropriate time.
Okay, I'm not sure what other information we could possibly glean from Dr. Frazier. I think he's pretty much laid it all out on the line.
I'm not sure about that, so, I mean, you can make a motion, put it on the agenda if you want, but I'm thinking it's a little premature.
At what time during the course of this month, leading up to next month's meeting, can we ask something be put on the agenda? Is
We
that
can
something
ask,
people-
we could ask it to be put on the agenda anytime before we have to post the agenda.
Okay,
And that
Which is
has
a
to
week
be
before.
a week before, and
Okay.
then it has to be posted 48 hours.
all right, very good. I'll probably be in contact with you one way or the other.
Okay.
He's crazy.
They're all crazy.
And we all know that FERPA affords parents and guardians the right to access their child's educational records and the rights to have records amended in certain circumstances, and the rights to oversight over the disclosure of personally identifiable information from the emotional records. So I just wanted to give you an update of what FERPA is, I think we all know that, but then the U.S. Department of Education, the Secretary Linda McMahon, she has, as everybody probably knows, has launched an investigation in the California Department of Education over alleged violations of the Family FERPA Act because of the new California laws that went into effect that bar schools from disclosing a child's gender identity to their parents. So this is going to create, I think, a showdown with California and the federal government, I believe, at some point, and we have to be prepared of what we're going to do and how we're going to defend the parents and the rights of the parents, because they do have rights according to FERPA.
And Mary, is that AB 1955 is what you're referring to?
Well, it does include AB 1955 that went into law last year that prohibits school districts and county offices of education, charter schools, and so on to disclose information related to student sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression without the student's consent or the parent's consent unless mandated by law. So there are laws that are implemented to guarantee that, and I think that from what I've learned in my all my school board years here, is that we are supposed to follow the federal government first before we follow the state, and I'm not sure that we always do that. Newsom signed the law into effect, and he argues that the bill strengthens California's existing protections against forced outings of students in schools and ensures that teachers and staff do not interfere with parent-child relationships. And the administration previously sued the Chino Belly, and we all know about that. And then in a viral clip of a nearly half-hour and long episode earlier this month, Newsom conceded to Turning Point that it's deeply unfair to have biological males compete against female athletes. However, he would not condemn a trans athlete who, in his own state, had crushed female in a track, in a competition in long jump. So he's talking out both sides of his mouth. And
Business as usual?
Maybe more so.
you know, and and
Exactly, now that he's
Backtrack.
president.
right now that he wants to be president. So we, you know, and I feel for anybody that, you know, even all the school districts who are having to try to negotiate and to work all of this to make sure it's it's equitable. Secretary Linda McMahon from the Feds says she has formally warned California Governor Newsom to comply with federal law on prohibiting males in women's sports. And she says to him, your recent comments about male athletes playing in women's sports that is deeply unfair came to the office for my attention. Allowing participation in sex-separated activities based on gender identity places schools at risk of Title IX violations and the loss of federal funding. As governor, you have the duty to inform California school districts of the risk. If a student claims a gender identity at school, managing this issue bureaucratically while hiding from parents violates FERPA. As the Secretary of Education, I'm asking you to inform this department whether you will remind schools in California to comply with federal law by protecting sex-separated spaces and activities. I'm officially asking you to publicly assure parents that California teachers will not facilitate any gender transition. So what she is saying to me is that there's federally protected spaces, and that to me is also, I know we don't have sports in our district, but we do have bathrooms. And federally, that to me means that those students are protected and that we should protect them. And I have also concerns with some of the tampons machines that are still in the boys' bathrooms, because I don't think that's appropriate. So, and I believe that space is federally protected for men, and they don't have to be subjected to that. So that is my concerns on that. And just to update you with the Mississippi is considering a law with Bill 594 that is considering putting the Ten Commandments on display in their schools, and Texas really did recently pass legislation to put it displayed in some of their schools. So.
Department of Education just updates you in regards to what that means to the states. I was on a meeting call this morning, and they discussed that the Department of Education, as of right now, the understanding from the administration is that the funding from the Department of Ed will continue to flow to the states.
Sure.
It'll just be reassigned to different departments in the administration. What is being demolished, or whatever he's calling it, is the staffing, the overhead of the Department of Education. He wants to save dollars in that and turn it around, either to reduce the deficit of the country or to reallocate those funds to come directly to schools. So the Department of Education funding will still continue. He may look at doing grants or something else than title money. It might be called something else, but the dollars should continue to flow. So hopefully we'll see that stay as is. Parent notification AB 1955, as was already mentioned, the governor has made very clear that AB 1955 has one stance only, and that means that a school district cannot write a policy to out a child, so to speak. But he made it very clear, and he made it again on the podcast, as Mary alluded to, that schools are not prevented from contacting parents immediately upon knowing that a child wants to be called a different name. So we already told our district soups here in Kern County that they are able to contact parents immediately upon the changes of a student. They just cannot write a policy that says that they have to do it. So
Amen.
that's where we stand
Well,
with
they
that.
can write a policy.
That's what we can write.
So we told them that that's based on the governor, and we'll see what happens in regards to that. We also have policy within our office that any records of a student must be communicated directly to a parent. And so all the students that are in our alt-ed programs will get communication to a parent first and also to the district at the same time. Unless they come to us already established with that name, then we, but if they come to us and they want to change their name, we'll be contacting the parents right away. Probation will still be
great.
working with probation because they have jurisdiction over those
If I
students.
could ask a question real quick about that, seems that early on, even before I was on this board, there was a question raised about dual records being kept. All right? Is that something that has been addressed? Is it something that needs
Yeah,
to be addressed?
we do not have dual records in alt-ed, in our programs. I don't know about school districts, that's their prerogative,
Okay.
but in our programs, there's only one record, and that is the student record that comes either from the district or is initiated by us when they enroll from probation.
Thank you.
And you were saying that's just a recommendation to the superintendents that if a
We-
student,
Yeah, we told the district soups that if a child wants to change their name or request a record change, that a school or a teacher may immediately contact parents without violating any
Violating the
confidentiality laws. The
Nice.
AB 1955,
May,
as
but
per
it's not
Reed
mandated,
clarifying
right?
from the governor in his latest discussion, was that
They won't get
AB
in trouble.
1955 is just saying they cannot create a policy that mandates teachers
Right.
to call. But they have now the freedom, and in Kern, they typically do anyway.
That's good to hear.